Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about how to get out of Elo Hell as a Vanguard slash tank main. I'll be going over some general tips for ranking up, what heroes you should pick in each rank, and playstyles for those heroes. I'll leave some timestamps below so you can find your specific rank. I will say, I don't talk about Diamond and up in this video, but I am currently working on one as we speak. This video was just really long and I didn't want to make it any longer or rush my tips for the upper ranks. Anyways, let's get started. Tip number 1. Every tank is playable in every elo. What I mean by that is just because you only see Strange and Magneto in high elo games doesn't mean those are the only good tanks. Every tank can be played as long as you put in the time and effort to learn them. But not every tank is playable in every situation. You should not be playing Venom into Penny or Namor, and you shouldn't be playing Groot into Wolverine. Knowing matchups is key to understanding when to play every tank, but every tank is playable in every elo. Tip number 2. One tricks are not the way to go. The more heroes you know, the better it will be. There are 3 major reasons why one tricking isn't the way to go. Number 1. As soon as you hit Diamond, you'll probably get target banned. If they ban your main, then you're basically a liability to your entire team, because you don't know how to play anyone else. Number 2. If you get countered on your main, you'll still be a liability to your team. Let's say you're a Groot main. If they play Wolverine, you will always get targeted and you will always die because you have no mobility. It will always be a 5v6 because you don't know how to play anyone else but Groot. You'll be useless the entire game. Number 3. If you only know how to play tank, and there are already 2 tanks, you're gonna tilt your team by saying you can only play tank, or even worse, you just insta-lock a 3rd tank without even telling them. This will tilt your team's mental and probably lead to a loss on your part. Tip number 3. There is luck involved. Obviously, it's not all luck, but there is still some luck. Sometimes you have a teammate who goes 0 and 10, then the very next game you play against them, that exact player goes 30 and 0 against you. Everyone has bad games. Sometimes you'll get teammates with those bad games. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is focus on your game and see how you can improve, which leads me to our next point. Tip number 4. Look for areas to improve. Yeah, you can sit there and complain about bad healers or bad DPS or bad tanks. Everyone does it. Even the good players do it. But what separates them is that they take a step back and see what they did wrong as well and how they could improve. Yeah, you might have trash teammates, but I guarantee you didn't play perfectly that entire game either. The more you learn from your mistakes, the better you become. Take some time to watch your gameplay and look for places you could make small improvements. The less mistakes you make, the better you'll become. Tip number 5. Drop the ego. If you don't think you have an ego, you definitely have an ego. The first step to climbing is acknowledging that you can improve, and you're not as good as you think you are. If you keep your ego, you'll just assume everyone else is the problem and that you don't need to change anything. With this mindset, you'll be stuck in elo hell forever. Tip number 6. Stats and KD don't tell the whole story. I'm not saying they don't matter at all. Obviously, a DPS should have more damage than a healer, and a healer should have more healing than a DPS. But I'm saying not everything revolves around those stats. Just because someone has a lot of damage or has the most kills does not mean they're carrying. Most of the time, the most important plays are not shown on the scoreboard. For example, if Strange is about to hit a 6-man Eye of Agamotto and you cancel it, you end up saving your whole team and it could win you the game. That stat will never show on the scoreboard, but it was the game-winning play. If you're constantly hitting a tank, you'll farm damage, but that has no value for your team. Kills also work a different way. Even if you hit them once, you'll get the kill for it. So you can tickle everyone on the entire team and end up having the most kills, but it doesn't mean you're actually putting in the work. Don't be a stat patter. Stats and KD don't matter. Tip number 7. Watch videos. By watching upper elo players play, you learn some tech and learn how they play in certain situations. Analyzing their gameplay and implementing it into yours will go a long way. You want to watch them and try to mimic what they do in your own gameplay. Now that we went over the general tips, let's get into each rank. My tank suggestions are simply suggestions with some playstyle tips. They're based on my experience. I won't be going over their kit. If you want tank guides, just let me know in the comments and I'll start working on them. Bronze and Silver. No hate to them because everyone started here at some point, but mechanically they're the least skilled and game sense wise they have the least knowledge. So my tank suggestions are based on these two facts. Tanks that are pretty straightforward to play but very effective. My picks for this elo are Groot and Penny. Groot can be played on both offense and defense, but Penny I suggest only on defense. And don't say, but I see high elo players play Penny on offense all the time. They know what they're doing, so don't try to copy them in this elo. Once again, these are just suggestions based on my experience. You can still make any tank work, but these are the ones I feel that are simple but still effective. For Penny, try and find locations to hide your spider nest. A lot of people in this elo won't look to break it and will just walk right into the nest and die. Make sure you hide your mines in your web instead of chucking them at the other heroes. In the webs, they become invisible, making it harder for your opponent to know if they're stepping on a death trap or if they're safe. Sometimes an enemy healer will ult and step over these webs because they think they're invincible. Well, they're not. If you stack enough mines, you can kill any healer out of their ult, including Luna. So hide your mines carefully. Your right click is also very useful because not only can you use it to trap an opponent that is diving your team, but you can use it to cancel a lot of ultimates too. You can even use it to cancel out Iron Man's maximum pulse when it's coming toward you. But since you don't have a shield or walls, make sure you play behind cover. Otherwise, your healers won't be able to out-heal the damage that you are receiving. When Penny sets up her nest, she gains an absurd amount of HP. So if you need to hold a point, just stack your webs underneath and you'll be extremely tanky. Penny's ult is very useful for contesting an objective. It should be used more defensively than offensively. If your healers are on their way back and you're standing on the objective, ult to stay alive and run around in circles until your healers get to you. If you want to use it offensively, make sure you set up your nest first, as the webs you lay in your ultimate will attach to the nest, and the drones that come out of the nest will attack anyone that steps on any of the webs that you place down, which will do an insane amount of damage. For Groot, you want to use your walls to block off the tanks or DPS from healers. Many people won't break walls, so if their healers have no line of sight on their front line, you can easily kill them off and make them have to regroup or fall back. If you didn't know, Groot's walls are more than just Fortnite walls. His regular walls attack the same target you attack, while his Iron Wall is more of a health booster. If you attack enemies near the Iron Wall, you'll gain a lot of HP. So don't just randomly place this wall. Use it defensively. When you ult, make sure you don't shoot it at a shield, and as soon as you ult, try and place walls, your regular walls, behind them to kill them faster. I don't think I need to say this, but always try and ult their healers, or annoying DPS. Don't waste it on the enemy tanks. It is very easy to get out of this elo, as long as you're not playing any smurfs. You can easily carry games as these two tanks at this elo. And that is exactly what I did all the way up to Diamond. So I guarantee these two tanks are very effective picks. Gold and Platinum. At this point, I assume your game sense and mechanics have improved. The other tanks may work, but these players are a bit more knowledgeable. I'm not saying everyone knows what they're doing. Believe me, there are still a lot of clueless people in this elo, but there are definitely less clueless people in this elo than there are in Bronze. They'll start to be careful of penny mines. They'll look around, they'll look at the webs. They'll be so careful. And they'll start to break your Groot walls. Which is why we want to change up the strategy. I think this elo is perfect for aggressive tanks like Thor, Hulk, Venom, and Captain America. A lot of people in this elo are stat padders and are kill hungry. They much rather have a higher KDA than play for objectives. Take advantage of this. While their DPS just try and poke your team's main tank, dive their healers. Very rarely will they turn around and try to help them. Once their healers are gone, it's an easy win. Having said that though, to get any value out of these dives, you need to know how to play these characters, which will take some time. You can't expect to be a God Captain America after one game. So don't jump into your first comp match after this video, play Hulk without learning his playstyle or his kit, and say dive is the best way to climb because I saw it on a video. I guarantee you'll most likely lose that match. Go into QP, take time to learn the hero, and then go into rank and play it. Your goal as a dive tank is to obviously kill their healers, but this won't be possible every time. So your real goal is to pressure their healers, which will cause their DPS and tanks to choose whether they fight the rest of your team and let their healers die, or they have to turn around and help their healers, which helps create space for your team. Each of the dive tanks do this really well. It's all about comfort here and how well you know each tank. Choose the dive tank you're most comfortable with. Don't just follow what you see online. Be careful though. This is only really good if you have two tanks, a shield tank and a dive tank. It's not impossible to solo tank as a dive tank or an aggressive tank, but it'll be much harder because you're the biggest target on your team and you have no shield to defend yourself. And even if you're not in the front line, you're in their backline diving, that means your backline is exposed and they will easily get shredded. Learning when to play dive tanks is very important, but it is also very rewarding when played correctly. Another thing to look out for is their team comp. If they are playing heavy anti-dive plus a Wolverine, you'll easily get shredded and just put your teammates in a 5v6 situation. Once again, diving is effective when done at the right time and when done correctly. Thor Thor is probably my favorite aggressive tank from the list. His kit is really useful in many situations. His only flaw in my opinion is that he cannot solo tank. Aside from diving and assassinating squishies, you can easily shred front lines, annoy flyers, and even peel for your backline. People underestimate how much damage Thor's Awakening Rune actually does, especially tanks. So if you end up in a brawl with the other tank, there's a high chance you'll still be able to kill them. And even if you don't end up killing them, you'll farm your ult. When you finally charge your ult, look for a good opportunity. Go on their healers and then ult. You'll either kill them or get a support ult out of them, which is either way a really big W for your team. How you want to ult is you want to Storm Surge into their backline, and then you want to open up your Lightning Realm to slow them, and then you want to ult. Thor is also a good peeler. If your team is getting dove, you can go back and peel for your backline. If it's a brawler, you can just keep launching them away from your healers using your Storm Surge. Or you can shred them with your Awakening Rune. If it's someone a bit faster, use your Lightning Realm. It will slow them down a little bit, making it easier to hit them. If you want to duel their DPS, you basically win any 1v1, as long as you start with your Awakening Rune, or you're very close to getting your Thor Force back for it. For flyers, you can try and Storm Surge up to them and keep bothering them, or shoot your Awakening Rune at them. In this elo, many healers don't look up unless they're duoed, so taking them out of the fight won't be too difficult. Lastly, you can easily flank healers and one-shot them with your Awakening Rune before the other healer can even turn around and start healing them. Thor's entire kit is based on his Awakening Rune and his Thor Force. If his Awakening Rune is on cooldown, don't try and force too many fights. And if you just use it, don't dive in again, otherwise you'll probably die. Thor is extremely versatile, but you need to be careful of his cooldowns. Venom. For Venom, you want to mainly dive when you have your E or ultimate up or close to being up, otherwise you'll just get shredded. Instead of using your swing to dive, wall climb up high, then dive. That way, when you need to get out, you can use your swing as an escape. Your main combo for Venom is your dive, then your corrosion, ultimate, and then auto attack as long as you can. If you don't have your ult, just take it out from that sequence and everything else stays the same. Venom's ult essentially does 50% of their current HP, which is why you're better off doing it at the beginning and not at the end. Hulk. As Hulk, you do a lot of jumping. You go back and forth and back and forth. Since you have an insanely large hitbox, you're the easiest target, which is why you get in, do as much damage as you can, and get out as fast as you can. If you can, go for the kill. If not, just keep jumping back and forth, so you apply pressure on their healers and cause their tanks to fall back while your team takes that space. Let's start with his E. Don't just throw your Exile around for ult charge. Your Exile is very useful for cancelling ults, saving teammates, as well as getting kills. When you dive their back line, exile one healer and focus on the non-exiled healer. Pay attention to ults. If you realize someone's about to ult, throw your E at them. And if your backline is getting dove, throw your E at them. Don't just throw it around randomly. On the other hand, you can throw your clap around as much as you want, but remember, it pierces, so it's better to throw enemies that are lined up. His shield has two main purposes: helping you get in and out safely, part of your back and forth, as well as protecting your teammates. This can be used to help save someone that's low HP, or it can cancel out an enemy's ult completely, like Doctor Strange, or Bucky, or Iron Man. You can use it to protect your teammates while they ult as well. So Punisher, for example, you can shield him. Make sure you use the bubble wisely and don't just throw it up randomly. Hulk's ult can be used to dive the backline, or used to stall a point. His ultimate is just a really strong buff, so it's the same as his regular kit, except he gains more HP and knocks up. So a combo you can do is auto, jump, grab them, pin them down, and continue beating them. Make sure you don't recast Hulk's Q unless you're about to run out of your ultimate. It's a waste to do it at the beginning, because it basically takes away all of your ult time, and half the time you won't even kill the target you recast it on. But if you do it at the last second, even if your ult timer runs out, it will continue the animation until you finish, which will make your ult usage more efficient. Last but not least, Cap. Cap just recently got a buff, and a lot of people are playing him now. Good Caps know how to apply pressure, and maybe pick off a healer. But extremely good Caps can basically one-shot the healer. Cap is a bit unique because his movements are empowered, making it so much easier to get out after you dive their backline. You can run into a building or jump into high ground or do anything else. He's much more mobile than the other tanks. But it's still much safer to make sure you have your dash or slam off of cooldown so you use it to escape when you need to. What I usually do is slam to engage, then I try to get in as many basic attacks as I can using the animation cancel. If I see their team turn around, depending on how low I am, I start to run in a different direction, or I just dash away immediately. Cap's shield is extremely special as it can reflect projectiles, which means you can reflect a Magneto ult, Iron Man ult, and others. I've done this once, but if a Punisher is ulting, you can use cover to run up on him, and then when you're close to him, run into him with your shield, and you'll be able to delete him because his bullets are just being flung right back at him. Don't just use your shield to take basic attacks. Use it wisely. Finally, Cap's ult. You can use your ult when you're low to stall a point or almost as a support ult. It leaves behind a trail that provides shields to your allies, which can help save them from dying. Climbing out of gold and platinum is not difficult, as long as you know how to play your hero well. This game isn't just about mechanical skill. You need game sense as well. The best way for you to gain these two things is to just play the game. The more you play, the better you'll get. Just because you have one bad game doesn't make you trash. Ignore the haters. You will lose a lot, but that's just part of the game. Don't be afraid to re-queue. You're only gonna get better if you play more. But that doesn't mean you should tilt queue. No matter how many times you play, if you're not playing your best, or close to it, you won't get better. In fact, you'll probably get worse. Once again, I will be releasing another video for upper elo. I just didn't want to put it all in one video because it was too long. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll reply as best as I can. If you have any other content ideas you want to see, let me know, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more. Thank you.